are falling apart. Chris Haynes of Yahoo reports LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook all got together on the phone during the first weekend of Summer League and committed to making things work in L.A. This is such a cute story. But that report follows news that Westbrook dumped longtime agent Thad Fouché, who indicated that Westbrook would rather move on from the team than stick it out. Mina, does it sound to you like the Lakers' big three have settled their differences?
No. I mean, I am impressed that they managed to pull off a three-way phone call. Even I do not know how to do that. That suggests that there's some seriousness there. But unless Russell Westbrook said on that call, hey, guys, I'm willing to play off the ball. I'm willing to be your Bruce Brown or your Gary Payton II. No, I don't believe their differences are settled because Russell Westbrook playing the way he does means LeBron James is not going to win another championship. The King said recently on his show, The Shop, that he wasn't sure if maybe some of his teammates wanted to win as much as he does, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. Frank, you know that LeBron James never says anything by accident. And once that came out, it told me he wants Westbrook on.
All right, so they have a phone call. It doesn't matter what you say over the phone in July, because guess what? On December 30th, LeBron is still going to be 38 years old. Anthony Davis has been fragile, and Russell Westbrook, he's got a crooked jump shot. So I don't know how a phone call in July changes that. And you're 100% right. Most people thought when they added Russell Westbrook needs to dominate the ball, and LeBron is better off with the ball in his hands running everything. But what's interesting is you have his agent coming out and saying the things that he said and essentially telling you if Russell Westbrook goes to another team, they're going to have to include a draft pick. And if Russell Westbrook goes to another team, there's a very good chance that they're going to buy him out. The agent, or the former agent now, wants him to stick it out with the Lakers and become more of a defensive-first point guard with Darvin Ham. Darvin Ham just said the other day on Vince Carter's show that I want him to play the role that Drew Holiday played with us in Milwaukee, where he, sometimes played off the ball. I was surprised at the agent made a lot of money off of Russell Westbrook. I understand they had a good partnership together, but I don't know. It seemed like he spoke out of school there. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, it was a little bit odd, and he might want Russell Westbrook to change at this point in his career. I want to be doing the show today with Tony Kornheiser, but you know what? We can't always get what we want, Frank. Sometimes you have...
The top overall pick of the 2016 NBA draft actually play, and to be fair, he wasn't very good. In the Sixers' second-round playoff series loss to the Atlanta Hawks, Simmons shot 15 of 45 from the free throw line. Simmons followed that disastrous performance by first requesting to be traded and then holding out of training camp for what the Sixers said was a mental health issue. Simmons reportedly accrued an NBA record $10 million in fines for missing practices and games before being traded to Brooklyn in February for James Harden. The belief was that the 6'9" Simmons, who could defend, rebound, and run an offense, would be the perfect complement to Kevin Durant. Instead, a back injury kept Simmons sidelined for the remainder of the season, and now that Kevin Durant has asked to be traded, there is a possibility that Simmons will never get to play with and learn from one of the best ever do it.
There's a possibility, but it seems to be shrinking as time goes by. And if I'm Ben Simmons, I am begging, of course, Katie and Kyrie to stay on this team because, as you said, he is a good fit next to them if he doesn't have to shoot. And I'd also like to say, you just wished him happy birthday. He is only 26. Yes. I know people are writing this guy off, but he's still very young and has flashed a ton of talent before this latest time away.
He should be doing everything he can to convince Kevin Durant to stay because he's never going to play with a better player. Happy anniversary, Carmelo Anthony, or as we say in New York, Carmelo Anthony. Around this day 4 years ago, the Thunder traded you to the Hawks, who soon agreed to essentially a full $28 million buyout. Melo ended up in Houston with his good pal Chris Paul, but lasted all of 10 games with the Rockets before they decided he didn't fit with them either. Carmelo was out of the league for 13 months until he signed with the Portland Trail Blazers, and he did have a bit of a resurgence in the Pacific Northwest. That's Mina's old stomping grounds. Carmelo, who spent last season with the Lakers, is currently a free agent, and there is a possibility of him returning to the Knicks. His son, Kyan, is going to play at Christ the King High School in Queens. He would do a little investigation here. If this is it for Melo, he'll end his career with 10 All-Star appearances, 4 gold medals, and ranked 9th on the all-time scoring list. And speaking from personal experience, from having covered Carmelo in New York, you cannot ask for a more accommodating and likable big star.
You know, Frank, I don't think this is it for Carmelo. I do think he is a desirable free agent, which is amazing. I don't think it's something we would have said a few years ago. But unlike Russell Westbrook in Los Angeles, he embraced the role assigned to him. He posted the highest true shooting percentage of his career, and I think he is desirable for teams, perhaps including your hometown Knicks.
Yeah, Philadelphia is another one that he might end up with. An eventual happy trails.
Hello, I'm Malika Andrews, and coming up on NBA Today, we have so much to get to. We need to recap LeBron's surprise Drew League performance, while questions about Westbrook's future in Los Angeles, they arise after parting ways with his agent. Plus, Woj is going to join us with the latest on the potential trades for Kevin Durant, for Kyrie Irving, Donovan Mitchell, all of that we will get to. And the legend, the Hall of Fame center. Do you know who's going to be joining us here on NBA Today? It's Dikembe Mutombo joining the show. So we have so much to get to. But first, I do want to take a look at the weekend that was around the NBA.
But you haven't done it till you do the Drew. Last time Bron hooped in a high school gym, he was a cheat code. Then it's DeMar DeRozan hitting the step-back triple.
And welcome everyone to the NBA 2K23 Summer League, playing for trophies and rings.
Made plays when we
Pride got put in the friend zone. A great time, Johnson.
What up, bro? Oh, y'all won it? They won it? Oh, shit. We celebrate that. You feel me?
So like I said, welcome to NBA Today, and we have a fabulous panel for you today. We have Dave McMenamin joining Kendrick Perkins and Zach Lowe. But where we need to start is with the Lakers and Russell Westbrook, because over the weekend, Adrian Wojnarowski, our senior NBA insider, reported that Russell Westbrook has parted ways with his longtime agent. So I want to contextualize that, what it means for the Lakers, for our viewers. So bringing in Dave McMenamin now. Dave, what exactly does this mean? Why should Lakers fans see this as noteworthy?
Well, Malika, because, and I have the statement here from Thad Fouché, it's kind of a rarity in our business to see something this in-depth when a client leaves his representation, but you know, I'll read it off this full screen here. The marketplace is telling the Lakers they must add additional value with Russell in any trade scenario. And even then, such a trade may require Russell to immediately move on from the new team via buyout. My belief is that this type of transaction only serves to diminish Russell's value and his best options to stay with the Lakers. To read between the lines here, it's clear that Thad Fouché, his longtime, now former agent, has been trying to work behind the scenes to find a deal for Russell to move to a fourth team in 4 years. It hasn't happened up to this point, and so Thad is telling Russ as his parting note that your best bet is to stay with the Lakers, and basically calling the Lakers bluff, because we've heard all the right things said by Darvin Ham thus far, telling us that Russell Westbrook will have a major role on this team. He told Mark Spears of Anscape he will still be the starter. But at the same time, while those comments have been made, Rob Pelinka has been working behind the scenes for about a month in order to try to find a trade scenario for Russ. And so what this means at the end of the day is that we'll see if Russ signs another agent that can help facilitate such a deal. Someone with ties around the league and can leverage those relationships. But we're still at a stalemate.
So let's bring in the rest of our panel. Zach Lowe, hello, and Kendrick Perkins. Zach, what do you make of this breakup?
It's certainly noteworthy, although it's been in the works for, I think, a long time. Like Dave said, the implication of Thad Fouché's statement was Russ wants a trade. I don't think that's best for him. Immediately after that statement came out, some damage control was done. The LA Times reported that Russ, and others reported that Russ has never asked for a trade, never requested a trade. Then there were reports from Chris Haynes at Yahoo that Russ, AD, and LeBron got on a little bit of an old school conference call, dialed up the landlines, I guess, and had a sort of detente about we're all together, we're still together. That all seemed like damage control to me. The underlying implication was there seemed to be some tension between what Russ wanted, what Darvin Ham wants, what the Lakers want. And to me, all of that tension is still in the air. We have 2 months before camp. We'll see if Russ is on the Lakers by then.
Well, so it was really interesting, particularly what you said about that phone call that Yahoo reported, because I was at Summer League, Dave was at Summer League. We all went to Summer League, and we saw Russ on the other end of the court when LeBron James was also there watching the Lakers. Perk, you played with Russ. What exactly is at stake, do you think, this upcoming season for him?
It's a lot. And I'm not talking about his past. Listen, we already know that Russell Westbrook is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. We already know that Russell Westbrook, in my eyes, is a top 25 greatest player to ever play the game of basketball. But when it comes down to this particular moment, and it comes down to Russell Westbrook coming into this particular season and looking into the future, this is a make-or-break moment for Russell Westbrook. And when I see it, I'm looking at it and I'm saying, look, Russ, this season right here is going to determine your future. And when I say the future, I mean we could really witness Russell Westbrook go from making $47 million to $48 million a year, being one of the highest paid guys in the league, to actually playing for a veteran minimum if he don't show the rest of the NBA that he's willing to sacrifice, that he's willing to put his pride aside, that he's willing to take a lesser role. If Russell Westbrook could come out and be efficient, take a lesser role, put his pride aside, then guess what? He's going to extend his future. He's going to get a bigger payday than a veteran minimum. But if not, he's treading in deep waters. And look, Russell Westbrook could possibly be out the league if he's not careful and not put his pride aside.
Dave?
And Perk, I reported this last year. A Eastern Conference executive compared Russell Westbrook to Allen Iverson to me and said that look at Iverson's path. He never really adjusted his game, changed his role, and expanded his game to work with the times. And all of a sudden, he goes from being one of the game's brightest stars, biggest names, to completely out of the league. And that is the precarious situation that Russell Westbrook finds himself in. And you mentioned, Perk, him trying to take a different role. I mentioned this on Zach's podcast yesterday, The Low Post, that I had sources telling me that the last coaching staff, led by Frank Vogel and the Lakers, they didn't believe that Russ would be able to accept that role. They thought they would lose him completely, perhaps have him be away from the team if they benched him or told him your job would be to come off the bench permanently. And so, again, that was a very measured decision by that coaching staff not to go that direction. We'll have to see now that Darvin Ham has already publicly told Mark Spears that Russell can be his starter. Can he go down that road and have Russ accept it coming off the bench?
All right, so that's Russell Westbrook. Let's flip it, reverse it, and pivot to LeBron James. The last time we saw him on the court in a Lakers uniform, it was April 1st, 38 points in a loss to the Pelicans. But this past Saturday, he was back on the court at the Drew League. It's a Pro-Am pickup league in Compton. I was there. LeBron was doing LeBron things. Dave, you were there as well. He didn't sit a minute of this game.
All 40 minutes. And listen, I was standing near the baseline around some of his Lakers teammates, and we caught each other's attention, and he made an announcement to me in the second quarter, Dave, I'm 100% healthy. And to me, that was a very clear indication of why he was there, right? He missed 7 of the last 8 games of regular season with that left ankle sprain. He missed 26 games in total last year, and it was disaster. He's looking ahead to year 20 of his NBA career, which will be in Los Angeles, and he is trying to get the momentum going in the right direction from the summer onwards, saying, I got something to prove this year.
Well, and he certainly looked healthy when he was elevating like that. The atmosphere in there, it was absolutely electric. Just a packed gym. LeBron went for 42 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists. There wasn't exactly a ton of defense played, but that's not the point. And you said I'm healthy. He said that over and over. I was sitting near the baseline. He was looking into the crowd, looking at individual faces that he recognized. I feel great. My hamstring feels great. My body feels great. My legs feel great. I feel healthy. So, Perk, is this a big deal, a little deal, or no deal at all that LeBron was playing this weekend at the Drew League?
Oh, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal for the game of basketball. It's a huge deal for LeBron James' health. And most importantly, it's a huge deal to show the world that LeBron James loved the game. His love for the game is undeniable when you talk about him going into year 20, the same age as me, going on 38 years of age, and he goes in the middle of July and goes and plays at an extremely high level. Like, he wasn't smiling. He had his game face on. So, one, he set the temperature and he set the tone for his team to let him know what this year is going to be about. And then it also showed his appreciation for the game. We're talking about LeBron James, who was just in a magazine. I forgot the name of it. Can't think of the name of it at the moment, of reaching $1 billion. His net worth is $1 billion. Like, when you're driving and you're playing right now, and the passion that he's playing with and going and playing in front of a crowd that some of those people would never be able to see a LeBron James up close again in their life, that just shows you the love that he have for the game of basketball.
Zach?
I think it's awesome. I think it's a great sign. If I'm the Lakers, I'm like, 40 minutes, LeBron. Let's not do that again. Let's just take it a little easier than that. Let's not turn an ankle. But Perk is right. Look, a healthy LeBron James is an MVP candidate. That was the case last year. That was the case the year before. And all these discussions about Russ and Kyrie and how the Lakers upgraded or didn't upgrade their bench, none of that matters if LeBron and Anthony Davis are not healthy and playing at their peak levels when it matters. That's the first step to the Lakers becoming a playoff team. Forget about contender status and all that. They got a bunch of steps to get between now and there. Step one is those guys got to be healthy and productive. And so this is a great sign. It's LeBron James going into year 20. Like Dave said, it's awesome. All of us want to see MVP level LeBron in Los Angeles. I feel like it's been a while since we've seen that in high-stakes games. It'd be great to see it again.
Yeah, and I said hammy. Well, DeMar DeRozan was there. He looked pretty healthy, speaking of hammies. And for LeBron James, it was an ankle. He looked incredibly healthy as well. Gentlemen, thank you. Please do not go too far. I want to bring in our senior